A mother on trial now, charged in connection with the murder of this 12-year-old boy. We'll take you through the story. Police say her 15-year-old son beat the boy to death, and this is the alleged murderer. Now his mother, Loretta Villalobos, is on trial, charged with child abuse resulting in death for essentially not keeping a close eye on her son, amid claims that she knew he and the victim were breaking into and vandalizing homes, and that her son had a violent history and was not getting treatment. Joining us now, Lise Wheel, Fox News legal analyst, and Bob Bianchi, criminal defense attorney, former head county prosecutor and trial attorney. All right, so obviously this is a tragedy in every sense of the word. We understand that the young man who is accused in the murder has essentially pled insanity, and the judge doesn't know if he can be tried, so now they're trying to charge his mother. Bob, is this the prosecution trying to make a name for itself, or is this a legitimate case? I
think this is too far for the prosecution, and as a prosecutor myself who was in charge of making decisions about when parents would be responsible for negligent conduct, and here's the issue here. Typically the criminal laws deal with purposeful conduct or conduct where somebody knows that some sort of crime is going to be committed. Here with negligence, you have to prove there was a substantial and unjustifiable risk that she knew her son would actually commit the murder itself, and I think it's going to be very hard to prove to 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt.
But at least to this point, though, she knew that her son had a violent history.
Right.
He had been charged with battery. He was in a special needs school because he was so violent and out of control and vandalized homes. And this young man, Alex Madrid, 12 years old, is dead. Doesn't this mother have some responsibility to control her son?
That's really going to be the question. I mean, it is an uphill battle for the prosecution. The real question is going to be whether or not she accepted responsibility for the victim, this 12-year-old boy. And I think the prosecution may well be able to argue that she did.
Well, he was coming over to play.
Coming over to play. She was in the premise. He was a younger boy. He was 12. Her son was 15. She was around this boy, the older boy, all the time. They were vandalizing the properties. She was, letting this younger boy going out with the son all the time. She knew about the son's violent history. She knew he was out there all the time with her son. She knew about the boy's history. She knew he was doing this. She knew the boy was out there. She accepted responsibility for the younger boy, the victim who ended up dead. That's what the prosecution is going to argue, and they may very well be able to convince the jury.
What's the defense to this?
Yeah, Leland, the defense is going to be very clear. The defense is going to sit here and say, well, where was the responsibility of the mother allowing the 12-year-old child to be with the 15-year-old,
the mother of the victim, essentially.
Of the victim,
okay.
Potentially.
You can't just put it onto the mother of the victim. We don't even know if the mother of the victim is even where she is, alive or anything.
It's a tragedy. But let's ask some more things. If the school knew about this, if law enforcement knew about this, you have to prove.
Well, law enforcement clearly knew about this guy. He was a violent kid.
Exactly, and they did nothing, which they can do in order to ensure that that person is not a danger to themselves or other people. This child was not in protective services, and that's going to be an argument the defense is going to make. They're going to be sitting there saying that the mother could not. This is a legal issue, not a moral issue.
The one adult who is right there every day, day in and day out, is this mother, the mother who has been charged, the mother of the child.
And we've seen this back, 2014, 2012, same types of cases.
It goes back years, exactly.
Listen, we feel bad for Mom, but the bottom line for a criminal law case, for a prosecutor to prove to 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt, was there a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the mother knew that this was going to be the result of the interaction between these two kids. Very hard burden for the prosecution.
But the legal standard is only did she accept responsibility for the victim. And I would argue as a prosecutor, yes, she did, because she knew about her son going back for years, and she accepted responsibility for this young boy going out with her son and eventually ending up dead. And as we pointed out, in 2014 and 2012, there have been similar cases where mothers have been charged with exactly this kind of thing.
But under New Mexico law, mere negligence is not enough for a crime. You have to prove that the person had a substantial and unjustifiable risk. In other words, close to knew or should have known that this would have happened. I think it's hard for them to prove.
Bob, at least we got to run, but I can imagine that this is going to continue in a courtroom in New Mexico for a while. We'll follow it as it happens. Thanks, guys.
Got it.
Jenna?
Well, President-elect